Alrighty, welcome back to Wheels on Reels, episode 8. Today we have Transformers The Last Night. This is the last Michael Bay Transformers, and one that I guess I missed and never saw in theaters. I was watching it on Paramount Plus just to catch up. Again, very interesting storyline, not very easy to follow, but still a good movie, and obviously still plenty of eye candy in the sports car department. So with that, we'll get right in. We've got 7 cars on the list today, and we'll start with number 7, which is the S550 Mustang. This is Barricade, the Decepticon, who's been featured in prior films in various iterations of a police car themed Mustang. No surprise, he's back again for the 5th film in the franchise. The S550 is an awesome chassis. My fiance actually has one, and I love ripping around in it. It's got the Coyote V8, 5-liter, and just an awesome muscle car. In my opinion, the S550 chassis really took the Mustang from a pony car, muscle car type thing to an actual sports car. Just really improved the handling dynamics, and it's a beautiful car to look at. So it earns a spot on the list. At number 6, we have the 6th gen Camaro concept. Of course, it's Bumblebee. For some reason, they decided to give him Lambo doors in this movie. Not entirely sure why. It does make for a nice touch, and it is pretty funny to see them hopping out of the Camaro with the Lambo doors in the movie, but very interesting choice from Michael Bay and the team. But the 6th gen Camaro is an awesome car. It's on the Alpha chassis and great handling car. This one sort of has some 1LE touches to it, so you could argue it's a 1LE, which would be the more track focused of the 6th gen Camaro trims, but nonetheless, still a great car. You got the LT1 V8 and a 6-speed manual. Sad that I think the 6th gen Camaro will be the final generation of Camaro, at least for this production run. They've resurrected the line before, so maybe they do down the road, but with EVs coming and muscle cars kind of fading, the Camaro is going out of production, I think, at the end of this model year, 2025. So great run, definitely over-engineered for the 6th gen and way more capable than I think the Camaro probably needed to be. But nonetheless, we'd love to get the chance to drive one again, and it earns its spot on the list. At number 5, we have the Mercedes-AMG GTR. Follow-up to the SLS AMG from Mercedes, only this time they went with a twin-turbo V8 rather than a naturally aspirated V8. Kind of a different car, a little bit more of a Grand Tour versus a sports car, and of course you lose the gull-wing doors when you go from the SLS to the AMG GTR. Sounds like alphabet soup when you talk about both together. You have the SLS AMG followed by the AMG GTR. Of course, there's different generations of the Mercedes AMG GT platform. The GTR is one of the faster versions with upgraded horsepower and improved handling. Great car from Mercedes. This one really came out in, I think, 2016-ish, right around when the movie came out. So nice to see them featuring a new car here. My friend had one for quite a while and raved about it, and I saw him drive it pretty hard, and the car just was the gift that kept on giving. Had no issues whatsoever. So if you need a sports car that's got a fair amount of practicality, being a hatchback, the thing's got a huge trunk and plenty of space and plenty of modern tech as well. So that earns it the number 5 spot on this list. Just above that, we've got the Aston Martin DB11. This was Aston's kind of first foray into some more modern styling. They kind of kept their design language the same from late 90s, early 2000s, all the way up until the DB11. And then with the DB11, they finally started taking some risks, and that carried on through the DB12 and the current Astons. And I think given kind of the choices in this movie, this bumps it a little bit higher up than we've seen Astons in prior movies. Like I said before, I would love the chance to drive one someday, and I hope that Aston continues to stay around and manages to find buyers for their new cars so that someday people like me can pick them up on the used market for half off. Nonetheless, still a great car, and would love to have one in the garage someday. At number 3, we have the green Corvette C7 Stingray that was in the prior film as well. This one's got a little bit of a body kit on it, like I said. It's got the LT1 V8, the same motor as the 6th gen Camaro, and really was sort of like the S550 Mustang. The C7 Corvette generation was the one that took it from a muscle car more to a proper sports car with some handling and some more all-around performance characteristics. The C7 too got a really nice interior compared to the C6. It solved a lot of the problems that the C6 had, and so all around, I think the C7 is probably one of the best daily drivable sports cars out there. And to me, I think it's the best bang for buck car, pretty much in any price range under, call it 80 grand. If you have 80 to spend, you can get one of the cleanest C7Zs out there. If you've got 60 to spend, you can get one of the cleanest C7 Grand Sports. And if you've got 40 to spend, you can get one of the cleanest C7 Stingrays. So no matter your budget, there's a C7 out there, and I would strongly recommend considering it if you're looking for a sports car in that price range. At number 2, we've got the McLaren 570S, this one in a nice cherry red. Gets plenty of screen time, and there's a lot of awesome shots of some chase sequences of the car. It's a twin-turbo V8 and McLaren's third production car since they relaunched in 2012. We had the MP412C, then the 650S, and now the 570S. Kind of a entry point to McLaren. At this point, they had the P1 at the upper end as well, but obviously that's a hypercar limited to 375 units. The 570S was intended to be kind of the gateway to the brand, and then we had the 600 LT come shortly after, and then the 720S, of course, followed that. 570S is still a cool car. It does have the billionaire doors and some incredible sound if you throw an exhaust on it. And the styling, I think, hasn't aged today. If you were to show this to a non-car person today, they'd say the car was brand new. So hats off to the McLaren design team. This is the first real exotic in the movie, and I would love to have it over all the other cars mentioned, so that earns it the number 2 spot. And the top spot for my garage from Transformers The Last Night would have to be the Lamborghini Centenario. As I've said in prior films, I love the Aventador. I think the SV is probably my favorite iteration of it, but the Centenario is the top dog in terms of Lamborghini's production at the time. Limited production run of 20 coupes and 20 roadsters, and all carbon bodywork, new headlights, new taillights, kind of a reskinned car. They also bumped the powertrain output up to 800 horses, which is pretty insane. And I love when Lamborghini does things like this and they build these, limited production run cars. First, you had the Reventon back in the late 2000s, and then the Veneno, and then now the Centenario. Since then, we've seen the Cyan, the Essenza V12, and then my personal favorite, the SC18 Alston, which is a one-off, but you can trace it all the way back to the Reventon, and it's cool that Lamborghini has kept that tradition alive with the Centenario. And of the cars in this movie, that's the one I would take. Just to recap, at number 7, we have the S550 Mustang. At number 6, the 6th gen Camaro. At number 5, the Mercedes AMG GTR. At number 4, the Aston Martin DB11. At number 3, the C7 Corvette Stingray. At number 2, the McLaren 570S. And the top spot from Transformers The Last Night, the Lamborghini Centenario. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with Triple X starring Vin Diesel. Cheers.